in the heart of Beverly Hills, where the sun burns brighter on diamonds than on souls. Isabella Vanderbilt was about to learn there are humiliations that not even all the money in the world can buy back. The white limousine slipped down Rodeo Drive like a polished steel ghost, its dark windows hiding the emptiness Isabella carried inside. Outside, tourists photographed storefronts flaunting price tags that could feed entire families for months. Inside, Isabella adjusted a pearl necklace that had cost more than her parents' first apartment. Her iPhone 15 Pro Max captured every move. 2 million followers waited eagerly for another dose of the life they would never have. "Hey, beauties," she whispered to the camera, perfect lips shaping a smile that never reached her eyes. "Today we are going to test the theory. Does money really buy respect? Let us find out at Lucille, the most exclusive restaurant in Los Angeles." Isabella's brain worked like a well-oiled dopamine machine. Every like was a microdose of validation, every comment a positive reinforcement that kept the addiction circuit alive. Neuroscience describes it clearly: the chase for social status lights up the same neural pathways as drugs such as cocaine. Isabella was not only rich, she was addicted to her own wealth. Lucille rose ahead, a fortress of marble and steel where a table for two cost more than a teacher's monthly salary. The maitre d', a middle-aged man whose eyes had seen more celebrities than the Academy Awards red carpet, opened the door with a bow that was more calculation than respect. "Welcome, Miss Vanderbilt," he said, his French accent so perfect it sounded rehearsed. Isabella entered without replying, the camera still rolling. "Look at this place, everyone. Marble floors that cost more than your car. Chandeliers that could pay for college. And waiters who probably earn in 1 year what I spend on shoes in 1 month." She did not notice the cruel irony in her words. Her brain, conditioned by years of privilege, had developed what neuroscientists call class blindness, a neural inability to process reality outside her bubble. While she waited for the table, Isabella skimmed through messages on her phone. A new sponsorship from a cosmetics brand, $50,000 for a single post. Another from a jeweler, $100,000 for wearing their pieces for a week. Her follower count climbed steadily, like a stock market of the ego that never dipped. "Table for one, Miss Vanderbilt?" A young server approached. Rafael Martinez, 22 years old, third-year student at the University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA. His brown eyes carried the fatigue of someone balancing night shifts with daytime classes, all to pay for his younger sister's leukemia treatment. Isabella looked at him as if inspecting a piece of furniture. The perfectly pressed uniform, clean hands, upright posture, none of it mattered. To her, Raphael was only a character in the spectacle of her life. "This way, please," he said, guiding her to a table by the window with a view of the Hollywood Hills. As they walked, Isabella whispered to the camera, "Look at this waiter's uniform. So basic. Like something from a 90s sitcom. And those shoes, not designer, for sure. This will be interesting." Isabella's prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for empathy and moral judgment, was practically switched off. Years of constant validation had produced what psychologists call acquired narcissism, a condition where the brain rewards selfishness and punishes consideration for others. Raphael pulled out her chair. "Your table. Mississippi, may I start you with champagne? We have an excellent Dom Perignon." Water, she cut in, without looking at him. Sparkling. Imported. And make sure the glass is very cold. I cannot stand lukewarm water. Of course. Mississippi. Raphael wrote it down with a calm that hid the exhaustion of a night spent on hospital duty, holding his sister's hand as she received chemotherapy. As he walked away, Isabella turned back to the camera. All right, game time. Let me see how far I can take this. Watch. While Isabella toyed with other people's dignity like a disposable accessory, her brain was releasing dopamine like a slot machine that always pays the jackpot, until the day it does not. Raphael returned with water in a crystal carafe so clear it seemed forged from solid air. The ice cubes chimed softly, each one hand-carved like a tiny frozen sculpture. He poured with precise movements, hands steady despite the sleepless hours. San Pellegrino water. Miss Vanderbilt. At 4 degrees Celsius, as our most demanding guests prefer. Isabella did not even glance at the glass. Her fingers slid across her screen, replying to fans who called her Queen and Inspiration. Each notification was a small jolt of pleasure in her brain's reward system. Neuroscientists call it the intermittent validation loop, the same mechanism that keeps gamblers glued to slot machines. Bring the menu, she said without lifting her eyes. And make it quick. I have an important meeting after this. The important meeting was a photo shoot for an underwear brand that would pay $20,000 for 2 hours of work. For Raphael, $20,000 meant 6 months' rent for the tiny apartment he shared with 3 other medical students, plus his sister's hospital bills, plus textbooks that cost more than his weekly wages. While Raphael fetched the menu, a document of genuine leather with gold lettering that narrated each dish like a culinary fairy tale, Isabella kept her performance going. Okay, everyone, social experiment time. I will see how long it takes for this waiter to lose his patience. I bet he lasts longer than the last one. The guy at that restaurant in Miami lasted 45 minutes before he started crying. Viewers laughed, commented, shared. The YouTube algorithm rewarded controversy with more visibility, creating a vicious cycle in which cruelty was monetized and empathy penalized. Isabella was only playing the game the system had built, and she was winning. Raphael returned with the menu. Here you are. Mississippi. Our specials today are... I can read, she snapped, snatching it with a brusque movement. Do you think I cannot choose my own food? Raphael's eyes stayed neutral, but his hands tightened slightly. He remembered his medical ethics professor's words. Sometimes the greatest show of strength is refusing to answer another person's weakness with your own. Isabella flipped through the menu with disdain. Everything is so expensive. Who pays $500 for a salad? Oh, wait. I do. She laughed for the camera. Kidding, everyone. My sponsors do. She closed the menu with a crack. I will have the white truffle salad, foie gras as a starter, and the Wagyu filet mignon for my main. And bring the most expensive wine you have. Something that costs more than his monthly salary, she said, pointing shamelessly at Raphael. The waiter noted it with professional calm. Excellent choices. Mississippi. The Chateau Margaux 1982 was exceptional today. May I serve it? You may. And do not forget. I want to see you pour the whole bottle. None of those ridiculous little tastings. as Raphael walked toward the cellar. Isabella whispered to the camera, "Look how he walks. So stiff. His back must hurt from carrying heavy trays. Pathetic." What she did not see was that Raphael's back ached not from trays, but from nights spent studying in UCLA's uncomfortable library chairs. What she did not hear were the silent prayers he said on every shift, asking for strength to help patients while his own sister fought for her life in another hospital. In the climate-controlled cellar, Raphael selected the bottle with careful hands. His fingers traced the time-worn label. The single bottle was worth more than all his savings combined. He drew a deep breath, recalling his mentor's advice at the hospital. "Raphael, medicine is not only about curing disease, it is about preserving dignity. Sometimes the patient's, sometimes your own." When he returned, Isabella was already impatient. "Finally. I could have died of thirst waiting." Raphael performed the opening ritual with a reverence that was almost religious. Each movement was exact, respectful, a silent dance between man and tradition. "May I pour a small amount for you to taste?" "Miss? I already said I do not want to taste." "Fill the glass." He obeyed, the ruby wine flowing like old, precious blood. Isabella took a large sip, as if it were soda. All right. Leave the bottle here." She pointed to the table. "And now the fun part, the tip." She reached into her Birkin bag, which had cost more than Raphael's used car, and pulled out a $100 bill. But instead of placing it discreetly on the table, she held it in the air. "I will give you a special tip," she announced to the camera. "But you have to do a little dance first. Like those movie waiters. Come on, show us your talent." The room fell silent. Other guests stopped talking. The staff froze in place. Even the unflappable maitre d' looked unsettled. Raphael breathed in. His eyes met Isabella's for the first time. And in those brown eyes she saw something she did not expect. Not anger, not humiliation, but a deep, quiet sadness. "Miss Vanderbilt," he said, his voice so soft it was almost a whisper. "Respect is earned, not bought. And dignity is preserved, not sold." He gave a slight bow. "I am sorry, but I do not dance." He walked away, leaving Isabella with the hundreds still raised in midair and 2 million viewers witnessing her first true moment of powerlessness. While Isabella played with social fire in the dining room, in the shadows of the owner's office a man watched every move with the eyes of someone who had been burned by the same flame of arrogance, and knew exactly how to put it out. In a corner office on the second floor, with a panoramic view, Alexander Carter studied the security feeds with an expression that mixed disgust and intimate recognition. Split screens showed every angle of the restaurant, but his gaze was locked on table 9, where Isabella Vanderbilt was turning human dignity into viral content. Alexander, 45, wore a bespoke suit that concealed the scars of a childhood spent in shelters. His blue eyes, usually warm in business meetings, were now as cold as the stainless steel in the kitchens below. Each of Isabella's words echoed through the high-fidelity speakers, and every syllable seemed to cut something in him, memories he thought he had outgrown. "Pathetic," he muttered to himself, not about Raphael, but about Isabella. "She does not even see she is destroying herself in real time." His personal assistant, a young man named David who had come from the same streets as Alexander, entered with a tablet. "Mr. Carter." Miss Vanderbilt's live stream has reached 500,000 simultaneous views. The comments are, well, you can imagine. Alexander did not need to imagine. He understood the psychology of online crowds, the same force that had made his fortune in the early days of social networks. The algorithm rewards scandal. David. It is pure math. Indignation drives engagement. Engagement drives money. He tapped the screen, enlarging Raphael's image. You know his story, do you not? David nodded. Rafael Martinez. Third-year medical student at the University of California, Los Angeles. He has worked here for 2 years. Younger sister, Sophia, 17, acute lymphoblastic leukemia. Experimental treatment at Cedars-Sinai, monthly cost of $15,000 after insurance. He covers it himself. Alexander closed his eyes for a moment. $15,000 was what Isabella spent in a single shopping session on Rodeo Drive. It was what he spent on business dinners. It was also, coincidentally, what an anonymous waiter had paid for his meal 30 years earlier, when he was a hungry teenager trying to survive on the streets of New York. The memory came back with painful clarity, him, 15, sitting in a cheap diner, counting coins to pay for a hamburger. The waiter, an older man with tired eyes, saw his situation and paid the bill without a word. Only a discreet nod, a sad smile, and the words, "One day you will do the same for someone." Alexander opened his eyes. She is using my house as a stage for her cruelty. David. My restaurant. The place I built specifically to be a refuge from the phoniness that rules this city. He stood and walked to the window, watching the relentless traffic of Hollywood below. Do you know what neuroscience says about people like her? Their brains literally rewire to chase external validation. The prefrontal cortex, the part that should regulate social behavior, grows secondary to a hyperactive limbic system that treats likes and shares as survival needs. David looked at the monitors. And what are we going to do, sir? Alexander turned, his eyes now decided. We will give her exactly what she is after, attention. But the kind she does not expect. Meanwhile, in the dining room, Isabella had recovered quickly from Raphael's refusal. Her mind, conditioned by years of instant validation, was already processing the situation as high engagement content. Did you see that, everyone? She whispered to the camera, feigning shock. The audacity. A waiter turning down a $100 tip. This is what happens when you treat people too well. They start thinking they are better than you. Comments poured in, some cheered her boldness, others condemned her lack of empathy. To Isabella, it did not matter, the point was that people were talking about her. Her brain released dopamine with each notification, reinforcing the behavior that was shredding her morally. Raphael kept working with a dignity that seemed almost otherworldly. He served the white truffle salad, each shaving's worth more than his hourly wage, with the same care you would give a bowl of instant noodles. His hands did not shake, his breathing stayed calm. He had learned in hospital corridors that true strength did not lie in striking back, but in persevering. Your salad. Miss Vanderbilt. The truffles were harvested this morning in the Alba region of Italy. Isabella ignored the explanation. Finally. I was starting to think I would have to fetch it from the kitchen myself. She picked up the fork, sterling silver, of course, and inspected the salad with contempt. These greens look wilted. And the truffles, well, they do not look worth the price. Raphael kept his posture. May I bring another salad? Miss? No, no. I will eat this. But make sure the main course is perfect. And bring more bread. This is hard. The bread, pulled from the oven less than 30 minutes earlier by a French baker who had worked in the best pâtisseries in Paris, was nowhere near hard. But Isabella's perception was warped by the power she believed she possessed, the power of money, fame, status. Upstairs, Alexander watched every exchange with growing resolve. He pressed the intercom. David, prepare the third-floor meeting room. And ask Raphael to see me there in 5 minutes. Discreetly. Yes, sir. Alexander stared at his reflection in the bulletproof glass. The man he saw was no longer the hungry teenager from New York, but he was not only the successful Beverly Hills entrepreneur either. Somewhere between the two lived someone who still remembered the taste of forced humility, and the sweet taste of preserved dignity. He picked up a tablet and opened Isabella's live stream. The numbers climbed fast, 700,000 views, comments stacking, shares rising exponentially. She was at the peak of her performance, unaware she was about to become the spectacle, not the star. All right, Miss Vanderbilt, he whispered to the screen. You want a show? I will give you one you will never forget. Raphael arrived a few minutes later, his face showing professional calm that hid physical and emotional exhaustion. Mr. Carter? You asked for me? Alexander gestured to a chair. Sit down. Raphael. We need to talk about what is happening downstairs. While the conversation unfolded on the third floor, Isabella continued her dinner, oblivious to the storm she was stirring, inside the restaurant and inside herself. Her brain, addicted to instant validation, could not see she was about to face the most painful overdose of her life, the overdose of reality. While Isabella savored the last bite of her arrogance as if it were an expensive dessert, the restaurant doors opened to reveal not a waiter, but a mirror, and for the first time in years, she would be forced to face her own reflection. Alexander's entrance into the dining room was as discreet as an earthquake in a teacup. He did not wear the staff's impeccable uniform, but a charcoal bespoke suit that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. His steps were silent on the polished marble, but each movement carried an authority that made even the chattiest patrons pause mid-sentence. Isabella was mid-bite into the Wagyu filet mignon, the meat so tender it dissolved in the mouth, when she sensed the room change. She looked up and saw Alexander standing by her table, his blue eyes fixed on her with an intensity that halted her fork in the air. Miss Vanderbilt, he said, his voice soft but carrying unquestionable authority. I am Alexander Carter, the owner of this establishment. May I sit? Before she could answer, he had already pulled the opposite chair and settled in with the ease of someone who belonged. Irritation pricked Isabella. No one sat at her table uninvited. I am a little busy, she said, indicating the still recording camera. I am making content for my followers. Alexander smiled, a smile that did not reach his eyes. Yes. I know. 2,300,000 views so far. Impressive. He leaned in. But do you not think it is time to change the script? Isabella frowned. I am sorry. I do not understand. Let me explain, he said, gently taking the phone from her hands before she could react. "You are doing a social experiment, are you not? Testing if money buys respect. I propose a different experiment." He tapped the screen and the live stream went dark. "Let us test something else. Let us see if truth buys redemption." At that moment, Raphael entered carrying a tablet. His face was calm, but his eyes met Isabella's with an intensity that sent a chill through her. Alexander took the tablet. "While you dined, I reviewed some footage. Not only yours," he added, catching her puzzled look. "Ours. Security cameras have interesting angles." He tapped, and a video played. It showed Raphael arriving for work at 6 o'clock in the morning, his plain street clothes contrasting with the luxury cars outside. Another clip showed him studying backstage during his break, medical books spread across an improvised table. "What does this have to do with me?" Isabella asked, her voice a touch too loud. "Everything," Alexander replied calmly. "Because you made this young man your main character without knowing he is already the hero of his own story." He tapped again. New scenes appeared. This time, Raphael at the hospital, not as a student, but as a visitor. Shots of him holding the hand of a pale young woman with a scarf on her head, smiling as he offered her a cup of water. Shots of him speaking with doctors, his face a blend of hope and fear. "Raphael is not here only to serve food," Alexander continued, his voice gentler now. "He is here to save a life. His sister's life. Sophia, who has leukemia." Isabella felt the first needles of real discomfort. Her brain, so used to processing everything as content, struggled to categorize this new information. "That is sad. But I do not see what it has to do with me." Alexander leaned closer, eyes locked on hers. "It has everything to do with you, Isabella. Because while you toy with his dignity for likes and shares, he is fighting for something real. Something that not all the money in the world can buy, time." He tapped once more. This time the video was instantly familiar, her own stream, edited differently. It showed her mocking Raphael's uniform, then cut to him wearing the same uniform with pride while studying late at night. It showed her offering the conditional tip, then cut to him refusing with dignity. It showed her complaining about the food, then cut to him grabbing a quick sandwich during his 15-minute break. "Look," Alexander said, emotion contained in his voice. "You think you are in control. That you are creating content. In truth, you are documenting your own disconnection from reality." Isabella felt something she had not felt in years. Shame. Raw, unvarnished, uncomfortable shame. Her face heated. Her palms grew damp. I did not know," she murmured, barely above a whisper. "That is precisely the problem," Alexander answered. "You did not know because you did not care to know. You see people as characters in your private reality show, not as human beings with histories, struggles, dreams." He paused, glancing at Raphael, who stood silent by the table. "You know, 30 years ago, I was a hungry teenager in New York. A waiter paid for my meal expecting nothing in return. A simple act of kindness. That act taught me something I carry to this day. Wealth without humanity is the worst kind of poverty." The room was utterly silent now. Every diner watched, some with disapproval, others with morbid curiosity. Isabella felt herself on a stage she had not chosen, and for the first time, the audience was not applauding. "What do you want me to do?" she asked, her voice shaking. Alexander smiled, this time, genuine, though sad. "I want you to do something you probably have not done in a long time. I want you to listen." He turned to Raphael. "Raphael, tell Miss Vanderbilt about your sister. Tell her about Sophia." Raphael drew a breath. His voice was calm but full of feeling. "My sister is 17. She wanted to be a ballerina. Now she only wants to live long enough to graduate from high school. The treatment costs $15,000 a month. I work here. I take hospital shifts. I study at night, all for her." Each word hit Isabella like a blow. $15,000 was what she spent on a single spa day. The price of a new bag. Insignificant to her, but everything to Raphael. Alexander watched Isabella's expression shift, from arrogance to confusion, from confusion to shock, from shock to something that looked like remorse. He knew he was witnessing something rare, the moment a person begins to question not only her actions, but her own identity. Money can buy many things. "Isabella," he said softly. "Cars, jewelry, fame. It cannot buy what you lost today, the respect of an honorable man. Believe me, that is worth far more than anything in your bank account." He placed the tablet on the table. "Now you have a choice. You can continue your spectacle, or you can do something that truly deserves to be remembered. The decision is yours." And for the first time in a very, very long time, Isabella Vanderbilt had no idea what to do next. While Isabella faced the emptiness of her own existence for the first time, Alexander prepared to show her that true wealth lies not in what one owns, but in what one has overcome, and that sometimes the greatest fortunes are built upon the greatest losses. The silence at table 9 was so dense it seemed to have weight. Isabella felt each heartbeat like a distant drum announcing a truth she had spent years avoiding, that behind all the diamonds, all the cars, all the followers, there was only a frightened person trying to buy her own worth. Alexander watched her inner struggle with a blend of compassion and recognition. He had stood in that place, not physically, but emotionally. The moment you realize everything you built is a house of cards ready to collapse at the first breath of truth. "You are wondering how I know so much about you," he said, his voice slicing the quiet like a thread of light in a dark room. "It is not that I investigated your life. It is that I used to be you. Or at least a different version of the same emptiness." Isabella raised her eyes, confusion mixed with a genuine curiosity she had not felt in years. "What do you mean?" Alexander gestured to Raphael, who stepped back to give them privacy. "Let me tell you a story. 30 years ago, there was a 15-year-old boy sitting in a cheap diner in Brooklyn. He did not have enough money to pay for the hamburger he had ordered. He had miscounted his coins. When the waiter came with the bill, the boy began to sweat. The shame was so intense he almost fainted. He paused, his eyes swimming with memories. Then something extraordinary happened. The waiter, an older man with eyes that had seen more hardship than his own, took the bill, tore it in half, and said, "Do not worry, son. One day you will do the same for someone." Isabella listened, fully drawn in. For the first time in years, she was not thinking about how to turn this into content. She was just listening. In that moment, Alexander continued, I realized something that would change my life. That waiter was not rich, his uniform was worn, his shoes old. But he had something none of the affluent customers in that diner possessed. He had dignity. And dignity, Isabella, is the only currency that truly matters. He looked around the opulent room. I built all this not to prove I won, but to create a place where dignity would be the most valuable tender. Where every person, from the maitre d' to the dishwasher, would be treated with the respect they deserve simply for existing. His voice softened. That is why what you did today cuts so deep. Not because you insulted my employee, though that is serious enough, but because you insulted the very principle that makes this place special. You tried to buy what is not for sale. Tears welled in Isabella's eyes, real tears, not the performative kind she used in emotional videos. I did not know I was doing that. I just wanted engagement. My numbers were dropping, my sponsors were getting impatient. Alexander nodded with understanding. I know. The algorithm is a cruel master. It rewards controversy, punishes nuance. But you know what? There is a more powerful algorithm, the algorithm of the human conscience. And it always, eventually, collects its due. He lifted the tablet and showed Isabella the comments on her stream. Look, people are not applauding your boldness. They are questioning your character. They are seeing through the persona you built. Worse, they are starting to see through themselves, because your behavior forces them to confront their own moral failures. Isabella read a few comments. Disgusting. Money does not buy class. I hope she is ashamed. Each word stabbed at her carefully crafted self-image. The problem is not that you are rich, Alexander said gently. The problem is that you forgot wealth brings responsibility. You forgot privilege is not a right, it is an opportunity. An opportunity to make a difference, to lift others, to create legacy. He pointed to Raphael, who was helping another guest with the same professional dignity. That young man is building his legacy every day, a legacy of love, sacrifice, perseverance. What is your legacy, Isabella? What will people remember when all your material possessions have turned to dust? The question echoed in the emptiness Isabella had always felt but never admitted. She looked at her hands, perfect nails, expensive rings, and for the first time she saw not beauty, but void. I do not know, she whispered, voice broken. I only know how to be famous. How to be rich. I do not know how to be good. Alexander smiled, a sad smile, full of hope. That is the most important part of the journey, the moment you admit you do not know. Only then can you begin to learn. He held her gaze with an intensity that made her feel truly seen for the first time in years. The most valuable wealth I own is not in my accounts. It lives in the memory of that waiter who taught me that true generosity expects nothing back. It lives in each employee I treat with respect. It lives in the spaces I build where dignity is the norm, not the exception. In that moment, Isabella had an epiphany that would alter her life's course. She realized she had spent years collecting things, but never meaning. She had built a fortune, but not a character. She had secured fame, but never genuine respect. Tears spilled freely, no longer curated, but authentic, born of remorse and shame. I do not want to be this person, she whispered. "I do not want to be remembered as the woman who humiliated a waiter to entertain strangers online." Alexander laid his hand over hers, a simple gesture, heavy with meaning. "Then do not be. You have a choice now. You can keep walking the road that brought you here, or choose another. A path where your wealth is not a weapon, but a tool. Where your platform is not a stage for vanity, but a megaphone for compassion." He glanced toward Raphael. "Believe me, there are causes far more worthy than any like or share. There are stories worth telling. There are people who deserve to be seen." Isabella gripped his hand, tears dotting the white linen. For the first time in years, she was feeling something real, and it was frightening, painful, and also liberating. She finally understood what Alexander had tried to tell her, that true wealth lives not in what you possess, but in what you give. Not in what you accumulate, but in what you share. Not in what you display, but in what you honor. And in that moment, in the most expensive restaurant in Los Angeles, Isabella Vanderbilt began her journey toward the only fortune that truly matters, the fortune of character. As Isabella's tears washed away years of layered arrogance, something extraordinary began to happen. For the first time, she was not performing for an audience, but answering a call from a place she had almost forgotten, her own conscience. Isabella's tears were no longer silent or controlled. They ran freely, smudging makeup that had cost more than Raphael's weekly pay. Each tear seemed to carry away a piece of the persona she had built, the relentless influencer, the indifferent socialite, the woman who believed the price of things defined their value. Alexander watched in silence, knowing he was witnessing something rare and precious, the birth of authenticity. He did not interrupt, did not soothe. He simply allowed it. Sometimes the deepest healing comes from pain not avoided, but faced. When the tears finally subsided, Isabella lifted her eyes. Her face was swollen, her eyes reddened, but something had changed, a clarity that had not been there before. A genuine vulnerability more beautiful than any carefully practiced pose. "What do I do now?" she asked, voice trembling, but carrying a new resolve. Alexander smiled gently. "You do what you feel is right. Not what is popular, not what is profitable, not what will boost engagement. Only what is right." Isabella drew a long breath, feeling the weight of the decision. Her brain, long conditioned to calculate every move for emotional return on investment, struggled to reorient. The neural pathways of validation addiction were being challenged by something new, the pursuit of genuine meaning. She looked at Raphael, who kept a respectful distance, giving her space while guarding his own dignity. Every fiber in her wanted to apologize, but not in the performative way that made for good content. In a real way, vulnerable, possibly embarrassing. May I speak to him?" she asked Alexander. "Of course. But remember, this is not about you. It is about him. It is about repairing the harm you caused." Isabella nodded, understanding the difference. She stood, legs unsteady, and walked toward Raphael. Each step carried the weight of years she had stepped on others to climb. Raphael saw her coming and kept his calm posture, his eyes showing not judgment, but a quiet curiosity. "Raphael," Isabella began, her voice frayed with emotion. I need to apologize. Not the way you are used to hearing apologies. Not an influencer's apology worried about image. A real apology. She paused, searching for the right words. I treated you like an object. Like a prop in my personal spectacle. I mocked your uniform, your work, your dignity. I was wrong. So wrong. Raphael remained silent, letting her continue. I did not know about your sister. But that is no excuse. I should have treated you with respect regardless of your story. Because everyone deserves respect. Everyone has a story. Everyone is fighting a battle others do not see. Tears returned, and this time she did not hold them back. I spent years building a fortune, but never a backbone. I collected followers, but never true friends. I gained fame, but lost my humanity. She looked around the room, aware of every eye on her, and for the first time not caring about their judgment. I want to make amends. Not only with words, but with actions. She reached for her bag, the same Birkin that had cost more than Raphael's car, and took out her phone. With trembling hands, she opened her banking app. The balance was astronomical, more money than most people would see in a lifetime. The sponsorship I received to make this video, she said, voice steadier now. $50,000. I want you to have it. For your sister's treatment. Raphael looked stunned. Miss Vanderbilt, you do not have to. I do. Raphael, she said softly, cutting him off. I need to do this. Not to redeem myself, but because it is the right thing. Because your sister deserves the chance. Because you deserve peace. She completed the transfer right there, in front of everyone. The confirmation tone seemed to echo through the quiet room. But she did not stop. She opened YouTube. With a decisive motion, she deleted the live video that was still racking up views. I do not want anyone else to see that, she said, not to the camera, but to the people in the room. I do not want my cruelty immortalized online. I do not want others to use it as an excuse to treat people badly. Alexander watched with a genuine smile. He was seeing not only an apology, but a value system being rebuilt in real time. Neuroscientists call it moral neuroplasticity, the brain's capacity to reorganize when confronted with deep truths. Then Isabella did the unexpected. She turned to the other guests, people who had witnessed everything. I know many of you recognize me, she said, voice emotional but clear. I am Isabella Vanderbilt. And today, here in this restaurant, I learned that being rich does not make you better than anyone. It means you have the responsibility to be better for everyone. She paused, meeting face after face. I was wrong. I sinned through arrogance. I am deeply ashamed. I hope my failure reminds us all, the real luxury is not what we own, but how we treat one another. The silence broke with a discreet clap from an older couple nearby. Others joined, not thunderous, but respectful. Acknowledgement for someone brave enough to admit a wrong and try to right it. Raphael finally spoke, voice gentle but firm. Thank you, Miss Vanderbilt, for the donation, but mostly for the words. Forgiveness is a gift we give ourselves as much as to others. In that moment, Isabella understood something fundamental, that true wealth is not the power to buy things, but the power to change lives. Not the capacity to impress strangers, but the capacity to touch hearts. She looked to Alexander, who nodded with quiet approval. He did not need to say anything, his eyes said it all. You chose the harder path, but the only one that matters." When Isabella left the restaurant, not in the limousine, but on foot, feeling the Los Angeles night breeze on a face still marked by tears, she knew nothing would be the same. Her fortune remained, her fame still existed, but something essential had shifted. She had discovered there are prices money cannot pay, and values money cannot buy. And that true transformation begins not when we acquire more, but when we become more. 3 months later, as autumn painted the Hollywood Hills in gold and red, the seeds planted that night at Lucille began to bloom in ways no one, not even Isabella, could have predicted. Autumn in Los Angeles always has a peculiar quality: the air cleaner, the nights cooler, and something in the atmosphere that invites reflection. For Isabella Vanderbilt, the season meant more than a change in the weather. It marked the rebirth of everything she thought she knew about herself and her place in the world. She was no longer in the Beverly Hills penthouse. She lived in a modest Silver Lake apartment, surrounded not by luxury objects but by books on psychology, philosophy, and neuroscience. The walls that once displayed glamorous party photos now held certificates from courses on emotional intelligence and personal growth. Her phone, the same device that had witnessed her fall, now served very different purposes. Instead of broadcasting her life to strangers, she used it to coordinate the Dignity Project, an initiative that connected creators willing to use their platforms for social causes with organizations that needed visibility. Validation addiction is like any other addiction, she explained in her new talks for other content creators. It rewires your brain to chase external rewards while ignoring the internal ones. Healing begins the moment you realize the most important like is the one you give yourself when you do what is right. At Lucille, changes were just as deep, though more discreet. Alexander created an education fund for employees, not as charity, but as an investment in human potential. Raphael was among the first beneficiaries, but in a way that honored his dignity. Rather than a donation, it was an advance against his future salary as a physician. Sophia's treatment is going well, Raphael told Alexander during one of their monthly meetings. The doctors are optimistic. And I can finally focus on studying without worrying about the hospital bills. Alexander smiled. Sometimes the greatest wealth we can give someone is not money, but peace of mind. The space to dream without the weight of survival. The most surprising transformation happened online. Isabella had not abandoned her platform, she had rediscovered it. Instead of superficial content, she now shared stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. The waiter paying his younger brother's college fees. The cleaning lady raising 3 children alone while studying to become a nurse. The delivery driver who rescued an abandoned dog and now took him on every route. Engagement felt different, less explosive, more sustainable. Instead of spikes of outrage, waves of inspiration. Instead of empty comments, meaningful conversations. Most importantly, Isabella finally felt she was contributing something of real value to the world. The algorithm still rewards me, she admitted in a business magazine interview. But now it rewards things that actually matter. And the return is much greater, not in money, but in meaning. One afternoon she received an unexpected visit. Raphael stood at her door, holding an envelope. From Sophia, he said, handing it to her. She wanted to write to you herself. Isabella opened it with trembling hands. The handwriting was that of a teenager, but the words were deeply mature. Dear Isabella, my brother told me about you. About what happened at the restaurant and everything that changed after. I wanted to thank you not for the money, though that helped a lot, but for showing Raphael that there are good people in the world. He always believed that, but sometimes it is hard to keep faith when you see so much injustice. You gave me more than financial help. You gave me hope. And hope, I have learned, is the best medicine there is. With gratitude, Sophia. Isabella cried as she read, not dramatic tears, but quiet tears of realization. She finally understood what Alexander meant by true wealth. It did not live in bank accounts, but in human connection. Not in what we accumulate, but in what we share. Weeks later, she and Alexander met for coffee in a simple downtown spot, far from spotlights, far from expectations. You have changed, Isabella, he observed, not as a critique, but as a fact. I finally became who I was meant to be, she replied. Or maybe who I always was, before I got lost in the maze of fame. He nodded. Neuroscience has a term. Self-actualization. The moment you stop chasing external validation and begin to live by your deepest values. It is rare, but transformative. She looked at her plain cup of coffee. You know, I still have money. A lot of it. But now I understand it as a tool, not a goal. Like any tool, its value lies in what you build with it. Exactly, Alexander said. And you are building something beautiful. The legacy of that night at Lucille kept expanding in unpredictable ways. Other creators, inspired by Isabella's transformation, began rethinking their content. Luxury restaurants across the city implemented programs like Alexander's Education Fund. And Raphael, now free from financial pressure, not only graduated with honors from medical school, but created a scholarship for students in situations like his. On Christmas Eve, Isabella received a gift that captured her journey perfectly. It was a framed photo, not of a glamorous party or a luxury trip, but of Table 9 at Lucille, empty. On the frame, a simple inscription, where the ego died and the soul was reborn. She placed the photo on her desk where she could see it every day. A constant reminder that true transformation never comes from accumulation, but from surrender. Never from display, but from humility. Never from power over others, but from service to others. As night fell over Los Angeles, lighting the city with its glittering constellations, Isabella finally grasped the deepest paradox of wealth. You only truly possess it when you are willing to lose it for something greater. The supreme luxury is not what you can buy, but what you can give. And the most valuable fortune of all is the one you carry within, untouchable by markets, immune to inflation, eternal in worth. Lucille still stands, still serves affluent guests, still gleams with the same luxury as before. But those who know its story understand that its true treasure is not in marble or crystal, but in the lesson learned there, and still taught, quietly, to anyone willing to listen. That money without respect turns into public shame. But that respect, once found, becomes the only wealth that truly matters, the wealth of character, of compassion, and above all, of restored human dignity.